What transfers are you making ahead of game week 33? Here are my best transfer tips ahead of the game week. Let's get into it.
Yo, listen up, Rue is stepping up the game. Where fantasy Premier League runs in his veins. From transfers to captains, he's always on top, guiding you through every game week non-stop. They say Rue got that Salah flow. Welcome to the channel, enjoy the show. Wild cards, free hits with so much vibe. If you're hunting for success, then make sure you subscribe.
Good day, mate. Welcome back to the channel. I'm FPL Root and welcome back to another FPL video. So in today's video, we're going to be going through my top transfer tips ahead of game week 33. So they're going to be split up into kind of two different transfer tips. So the first few are going to be if you aren't wildcarding in game week 34. Obviously, game week 34 is a double game week and a blank game week as well for Tottenham. So some of the, I guess, transfer tips will be heavily involved not free hitting in that game week and building your team for that game week, whereas the last few in the video will be focusing on people that are actually free hitting in that game week, so you don't really need to worry about game week 34 and if the player has a good fixture in that game week or not. If you are new to the channel, please make sure you do subscribe and smash a like button. I'm back from holiday, ready to smash some videos out for the rest of the season, hopefully help you win your mini leagues and climb the ranks. Anyway, we'll get on to the first player. So Kai Havertz, I can't believe I'm actually mentioning him in a video, to be totally honest with you. One of my mates actually commented on one of my live streams a few weeks ago as a joke saying, shall I triple captain Kai Havertz? And since then, to be honest, he's been doing so well. 7.3 million, 4.4% owned, which is absolutely nothing really. And he's playing up front, he's playing on the wing, he's playing in midfield. To be honest, he's just playing no matter what. And I think that's the main thing coming towards the end of the season. You want a player that can maybe play a few positions, because even if other players do get rested, you know he's going to be able to slot in one of them positions. Obviously, it's going to be better if he does play up front, but I still think he can get attacking returns from midfield. In the last two games, he's got 3 attacking returns, a goal, 2 assists. Even before that, he's been on fire, 4 goals in a row, 7 returns in 4 games. Yeah, he's been on fire, to be totally honest with you. And it's his best goal-scoring form during his whole time in the Premier League. So 9 goals, 7 assists in 23 starts. Not the best, but most of them have come, to be honest, in the last, I want to say, 9 games. So since game week 23, where he got an assist against Liverpool, then he got a goal and assist against Burnley, goal and assist against Newcastle, goal and assist against Sheffield United, goal against Brentford, blanked against Man City, which was a 0-0, assist against Luton, and a goal and an assist against Brighton in game week 32. So he's been doing the business. His stats actually look pretty good. In terms of expected goal involvement, is 0.54 per 90. Most of that is actually is assists, but he's still a massive goal threat. And for me, you want a player that can do both. And the fact that he plays in midfield, can play on the wing, can play up front, it means that when the team is getting rotated, it's less likely he will be rotated, because he might have to fill in midfield, on the wing, up front, etc. So for me, now that Saka, yes, he was back from injury in 32, but to be honest, I just think Saka's been running to the ground. He limped off again. Obviously, there's not that many games left of the season, so maybe Arteta will just risk Saka. But for me, yeah, I just can see a bad injury for Saka coming up, and especially with the Euros coming up, I really, for England's sake, hope that Arteta doesn't actually run him to the ground even more. But we'll talk about Havertz anyway. I think he is their preferred number 9 now. I know Jesus did, I guess, do well last season, not too bad, but his injuries this season hasn't really done that well. And I think Havertz does solve their problems. He is creative. He scores goals, gets assists, and I think he can be a very nice FPL option. That is also a midfielder, so kind of out of position, you'd say. But even if he does end up playing in midfield, I think he is a very nice option to go for, and especially if you're not on free hitting in 34. So he's got Villa at home, which again is not an easy game, but Villa away from home is not the same as they are at home. Then they've got a double game week with Wolves away, Chelsea at home. Not the easiest. But it's a double game week, and you know Arsenal playing at the moment, they're playing so well. I hate to say it as a Spurs fan, but they are playing very well. Then they've got Spurs away in 35, which is a bit tricky, but maybe those of you that are on your wild card can wild card him out at that stage, and then he's got Bournemouth at home in 36, even if you did want to keep him. So I do think he's a very nice option, and he could be the third Arsenal player if Saka doesn't fully recover from this injury that I feel like he's had for a few weeks now. Then I think Havertz can be a very nice option. When you think of Liverpool assets, you think of people like Mo Salah, Darwin Núñez, maybe even Luis Diaz, Trent, Van Dijk, Conor Bradley now. You don't really think about the midfielders, I'd say. And I think Alexis McAllister is actually going under the radar and is putting in some real nice FPL performances in terms of returns over the last, I'd say, 6-7 game weeks. He's got seven returns in his last 6. And to be honest, he's started to pick up a bit of form in terms of getting in the box, getting on the end of things, getting assists. The overall in the season, he hasn't been great, don't get me wrong, in terms of FPL. 4 goals, 5 assists, 24 starts is not good. But, like I said, he's got 7 returns in his last 6. So 7 out of the 9 he's got all season have come in the last 6. So he is in a bit of form. Whether that's down to, I guess, Liverpool relying on him more when Salah was maybe out injured. Yeah, I don't know what that's down to. Maybe he's just a big game player is coming into the fray now where Liverpool need him the most. But at 5.9 million, I do actually think he could be a nice option, especially for the next 2 game weeks. Only 5% owned, so it is a massive differential. Crystal Palace at home, very good fixture for Liverpool. In a double game week, albeit 2 away games. It is against Fulham away and Everton away. So not the easiest teams, but you do fancy Liverpool to win that game. But then they've got another away game, West Ham away, and then Spurs at home. So obviously I do think Salah is the best Liverpool option, and then probably go for Darwin Núñez and then a defender. But if you did want to go for someone differential, I think Alexis McAllister can do that. Like I said, he's been on fire the last few game weeks. Let's just go back now. So this has been filmed before the Man United games. I wanted to make sure it was out right after that had finished. So his returns were a goal against Sheffield United in 31, assist against Brighton in 30, a goal against Man City in 28, assist against Forest in 27, Luton 2 assists in 25, and that was a double game week, and then he got a goal as well against Brentford. Yeah, so 7 returns in 6 games. It's very good. 5.9 million. Can he be the answer? Whereas maybe Diaz, maybe Darwin are rotation risks towards this busy end of the season. Maybe. For me, I actually rather having someone like Darwin and then a defender to go along with Salah. But if you did want to go for a differential, then maybe Alexis McAllister is your guy. So next up, we'll talk about the Wolves midfielder, Sarabia. So 4.7 million, 0.9% owned. So a massive differential. He is a player that did return in game week 32. So you could argue that this is a little bit knee-jerk, but I think for his price could be a very nice option. And to be honest, he's got 2 returns in his last 2 games now. And over the course of the season, 11 returns in 18 starts is actually pretty decent. So talking about Wolves, I think Wolves are a team a lot of people that are not free hitting in 34 will be targeting because of their fixtures coming up. So they've got Forest away, then a double game week of 2 home games, albeit one against Arsenal, but the next one against Bournemouth at home. Then they've got Luton at home right after the double game week, but then they've got Man City away in 36. So the 2 fixtures either side of the double game week do look very nice for Wolves. And I think Sarabia can be a nice option while Hwang and Neto are out. Neto is expected back, to be honest, probably the last game of the season, maybe the second last game of the season. Hwang should be back soon. I assume he'll be back for, if it's not game week 32, then it would be game week 33. So there is an argument to say wait for Hwang to come back. But for me, 4.7 million, I think Sarabia can can do the business, to be honest. And under a percent owned, he is a very, very differential. You could argue Cunha is a person to go for as well, a forward slot, but I think his minutes are not really guaranteed. So I think Sarabia is probably the best Wolves midfielder to go for at the moment if you didn't want to wait for someone like Hwang. Like I said, 2 returns in his last 2. Overall this season, he's done okay. He hasn't really been a consistent starter. 18 starts though, which is again not too bad. As I mentioned, 11 returns. In terms of his stats, his expected goal involvement is 0.59, so a little bit better than someone like Havertz and a little bit better than McAllister. So you could argue that if they're good options, and maybe Sarabia is. Obviously, Havertz and McAllister play for better teams, and Havertz probably and McAllister, I'd say, play a bit deeper than someone like Sarabia. But if you are looking for a Wolves midfielder and you don't want to wait for someone like Hwang, then I think Sarabia could do the business. Like I said, 4.7 million, you can't really go wrong. If he gets an assist, if he gets a goal over the next, let's say he gets a goal and assist over the next 3 games in terms of game week 33 and game week 34, and I think you take that, to be honest. For someone at that price point, someone that you can probably put on your bench when the fixtures do turn bad in 36, I think he's a nice option to have for people that are not on their free hit. People that are on the free hit, I probably wouldn't go there. I think you mainly want him for his double, and you can do that when you are free hitting in 34. Yes, the fixtures outside of that do look good for Wolves, but I think there are better players out there at the moment, and we'll get onto them next. So next up, I did want to talk about a player that has just got a brace in game week 31. Obviously, like I said, this has been filmed before game week 32 fixture against Man United and Liverpool, so I can't really talk about that, but he's just got a brace. But obviously Man United threw away that 3-2 lead against Chelsea in that famous game the other night, and kind of gone under the radar, to be honest. But Garnacho has been slowly putting in assists, goals here and there throughout the whole season. 12 returns, 7 goals, 5 assists for him in 22 starts. So he's really a consistent starter now for Man United, especially the last probably 15 game weeks, I'd say. 4.9 million, under 5%, under 5 million, and about 10.3% owned. So as I was mentioning with Sarabia, I think there are better options to go for if you're not free hitting in 34. Like, I think Garnacho is one of them. Even if you are, even if you're not free hitting in 34, I think Garnacho is actually a really good option too, because of that fixture in 34, Sheffield United at home. So the fixtures for Man United are very, very good. I know everyone banters them. They're shocking. They threw away the 3-2 lead. They lost to Chelsea, who are a banter club themselves. They drew to Brentford. They lost to City, lost to Fulham. I get that, but Garnacho's still been putting in solid performances. He's got 2 assists against Everton in game week 28, 2 goals against Chelsea in 31, assist against Luton in 35, 2 goals against West Ham in 23. So he's been chipping in here and there. And again, that price point, 4.9 million, with them fixtures, I think he can do some damage, to be totally honest with you. Bournemouth away, Sheffield United at home, Burnley at home, and then Crystal Palace away. Right before a double game week, which is probably going to be Arsenal at home and Newcastle at home. So for me, if you are looking for someone, again, you can play him in game week 34. So this is not just if you're on a free hit in 34, because you don't need to have a full team of doublers. Garnacho against Sheffield United can do the business over maybe even Sarabia, who has a double game week. So for me, if you do need to save money in the midfield, I think Garnacho is a very solid option to go for. Try not to be swayed by the banter going around to Manchester United fans at the minute, because they did lose that game against Chelsea. Obviously, like I said, this has been filmed before the Manchester United Liverpool game, so who knows, Manchester United could have beat Liverpool, and I just look stupid saying this, but ignore that, ignore the banter, just look at the player and look at the fixtures, and I think Garnacho with them fixtures can do some real damage and be a good option for your FPL team. So next up, we've got a forward, Julian Alvarez. So I guess a player that a lot of us did own, I guess, earlier on in the season. I owned him for a very long time, and he did me okay, to be honest with you. There was a lot of talk about rotation with the City squad, and he ended up starting, I think, every game up until, what was it? up until maybe game week 26. And then since then, it's been a bit patchy, but he started the last two in a row, 31, 32. And for me, yes, he didn't return. Yes, you could say he hasn't really done the business this season, but I think he has. 8 goals, 10 assists, 28 starts, which is a lot of starts, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't always play up front, so I don't think you can really judge him as a striker. He plays on the left, plays on the right, plays in the 10, sometimes plays up front when Haaland is not playing, but for me, I don't see him as a striker. I see him as a midfielder. Obviously, he's down as a striker on FPL, and for 6.4 million, you're getting a Man City forward slash striker, 16.8% owned, so not overly owned. And I think he will start, to be totally honest with you. I think the big players will be playing in the Champions League. So I'm not saying Alvarez isn't a big player, but I think De Bruyne, Foden, Haaland, if all three of them start, I can't see Alvarez starting. So for me, this is why I think Alvarez is such a good option. If all three of them start, I don't see Alvarez start. But if one of them doesn't start, then I think Alvarez starts. If Haaland doesn't start, Alvarez plays up front. If Foden doesn't start, Alvarez plays on the right. If De Bruyne doesn't start, Alvarez plays in the 10 centre mid. So for me, I think Alvarez is a very nice option going into this run-in towards the end of the season where City are going to have to utilise their squad. The fact that he can cover for Foden, De Bruyne and Haaland, I think makes him a key player. And to be honest, I think he will play the Premier League games and probably miss out on the Champions League. But it's always a risk with Man City. It's always a risk with Pep. And to be honest, it's not like he is delivering. He's blanked in the last 4 game weeks. He's obviously started 3 of them and didn't play in one of them. But we know he can do the business when he starts and he plays. We know he takes set pieces when maybe De Bruyne isn't there. Maybe takes free kicks as well. And maybe even penalties when Haaland isn't there. It is risky, as is every option with Pep. But I think the fact that he's a forward and doesn't take up a midfield spot does actually benefit him a lot, because I think there's better midfielders than there are forwards at the moment. But just by going by this list, it's mainly all midfielders. Are going to have one different player next, but mainly all midfielders. So I think that can be of benefit, and I do think he will get more starts than not in the Premier League. I think he's going to get rested in the Champions League, and then Foden, De Bruyne or Haaland will get rested in the Premier League, and that's where Alvarez comes in. Obviously, up front, you'd rather him play up front, but Haaland's not going to get rested every game. But from the right and midfield, I still think he can do damage, and I think he can be a nice differential going in towards the end of the season. So this could be a little bit knee-jerk, which is normally why I like doing my transfer tips before the game week before has happened. But this one, I couldn't do it, so I have seen the first set of game week 32 fixtures, and basically Brentford drew 3-3 with Aston Villa, and Reguilon got 2 assists. So he's in my transfer tips video, 4.4 million, 1.6% owned. You could argue it is knee-jerk, but I don't think it is. I think the fixtures for Brentford, Sheffield United at home, Luton away, Everton away, Fulham at home, are very good. Probably for people that are, I guess, people that are free hitting in game week 34, I'd say. Even if not, though, Luton away is a very good fixture. You know he's attacking Reguilon so far this season, 12 starts. That's for Man United and for Brentford. 5 assists, which is very good. In terms of expected assists for him is 0.25, so every 4 games he'll get an assist, which for me does sound very good. And with them fixtures, I can see him doing well. The only doubt, which is a massive doubt, is I don't see Brentford keeping a lot of clean sheets against anyone, to be totally honest with you. They drew 0-0 with Brighton in game week 31. But other than that, you have to go all the way back to game week 24, where they keep a clean sheet against Wolves. And Reguilon actually got an assist that game, so ended up with 12 points. So for me, he is a good option. I do think there are better defensives out there. So if you're not free hitting in 34, then I would probably go Arsenal, Wolves, maybe out Nori if he's not injured, and a Liverpool defender. If you are free hitting in 34, then probably someone like Gusto could be a better option, because Chelsea do have a double game week in 35. But Reguilon, 4.4 million, Sheffield United at home does look very nice. Then Luton, then Everton. So this is probably a pick for people that don't have any chips left, and I think Regulon is a nice pick. That was it for this video. Please smash a like. Subscribe if you're new. Trying to hit 2K before the end of the season. It's going to be tough, but I can't do it without you, and I do need your help. So share with a friend. If you've got multiple accounts, subscribe from them accounts too. And good luck for the game week, and I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.